Hi and welcome. My name is Tolan and I'm the co-founder of Productivity Me. In this video, we're going to go ahead and look at the idea of Spellcheck within Microsoft Excel. We'll discuss how to use Spellcheck both in a single worksheet and then in multiple worksheets. So with that, let's get started. If you want to follow along, go ahead and open up exercise file 09.07. You can find a link to this file in the description of our video. Okay, so as many people start to use Microsoft Office products, you could very likely be familiar with the idea of Spellcheck. And the idea of Spellcheck is pretty straightforward. So if you have a misspelled word, so we'll say rather than type the word word, we'll type word. So in this case, because we have the misspelled word here, if we were to go to the, I believe, review function and spelling and grammar, when we select Spellcheck, it will look for individual words or individual misspellings, and it would suggest perhaps what we might have intended. In this case, the first suggestion would be correct. We did change. Microsoft Excel will ask us if we want to continue checking the entire worksheet. We'll say yes, and there was no other misspellings. So another common way to activate Spellcheck is, let's mistype this word again. You can go ahead and you can use the F7 function key. So pressing F7 will activate Spellcheck. And the way that Spellcheck will essentially work is it will go row by row and then through each individual column until it gets to the end of the worksheet. And then it's going to prompt you, asking you whether or not you want to continue checking your spelling from the beginning of the worksheet. So essentially, Microsoft Excel has checked everything from row 9 to row, I think, 1,000,004, or something like that. They got to the end of the worksheet, and now it's asking you, do you also want us to check everything above row 9? And we'll say yes. And it would come back to this instance where we've misspelled this individual word, which in our case was perhaps supposed to be word. So we would say change. That's perhaps not that new to someone, but let's go ahead and misspell the word car. So rather than say cars, we'll maybe call it CRSA. Okay, so we've misspelled this individual word. And then let's also misspell this individual word. This is, of course, on the sales spreadsheet, so we could even change this background color just to make sure that's pretty obvious. So we have two different worksheets and two different misspellings. So in each case, the word cars is CRSA instead of cars. So let's go ahead and let's use Spellcheck by pressing F7. Pressing the F7 function key would launch the Spellcheck function within Microsoft Excel. It will ask us if we want to continue checking our worksheet. We'll say yes. And then essentially it will say, well, we can't find this word, but did you mean crash? Or maybe you meant cars, maybe you meant crass. In this case, let's select car. We can go to change all, and it says that Spellcheck is complete. When we went to change all, it would change everything on this worksheet. So if we were to come over here to 2015 sales, you'll notice that this is still misspelled. So we would have to, again, either press F7. I'm going to exit out of that, or you could go to review and then Spellcheck and then change that. So rather than go through each individual worksheet and change the spelling one worksheet at a time, what I like to do is I like to do the following. First, let's misspell the word trucks. And then here, let's go misspell cars. And maybe also misspell the word type. So we have three misspellings, right? So on this first worksheet, we have misspelled trucks. Here we've misspelled both type and cars. If you wanted to, you could do Spellcheck. But as we've talked about, it will just find the misspelling on the first worksheet. So what we can do is we can select multiple worksheets. The way that you would select multiple worksheets is by pressing and holding the control key and then selecting that second worksheet. So you could even select 3 worksheets. So let's say we want to spell check all 3 worksheets. You would select your first worksheet, press and hold the control key, select your second worksheet, and then press and, while still holding the control key, press and hold the control key and click here on this third sheet. And now each of these individual worksheets are selected. When we press F7, it would automatically apply the spell checking to these 3 worksheets. We'll say yes. So first it's going to find the misspelling of trucks. We'll say change. Then it's going to find the misspelling of type. We'll say change. And then cars, change. And through using this process, that of selecting multiple worksheets, we were able to spell check the entire workbook, or rather the entire selection of all of those different worksheets, rather than have to go through and manually check each worksheet, one worksheet at a time. So in summary, in this video, we went ahead and we looked at the idea of spell check. You can get to spell check by coming up here to the review tab and then going to spelling. That's one option. A second option is to go ahead and use the F7 function key. That too would launch spell check. So that brings us to the end of section 9, in which we discussed the idea of modifying and adjusting data within Microsoft Excel. If you want to join us in the next section of the course, we'll discuss using the special view features within Workbooks. So we'll talk about things like adding comments within a worksheet or freezing and unfreezing panes, as well as displaying multiple workbooks or worksheets within Microsoft Excel at the same time. So join us for that next set of videos, and we'll see you again soon. As always, thanks for watching.